Hey, how's everyone doing? Seems as if time has kind of gotten away from me, so I haven't recorded many meals lately. Nor do I just want to give you similar meals, because like everybody else in the universe, we tend to make meals that are similar, so there's no need to replicate it. So tonight, we are going to be making some vegetarian meatballs. So we've got some panko. Obviously, we've got some vegetarian meat. We've got an egg, some garlic, some onions, some Worcestershire sauce, some Italian herbs, Parmesan cheese, milk, and that is the totality of everything that we have. So what we're going to do first is wash our hands, because that is important. Okay, so for my meatballs, we're going to be using a panko. So let's go ahead and take that right now, and we'll do about a cup of panko. We're going to put this in here, and then we will do a third of a cup of milk. That's a third. So we'll do a third of a cup of milk. We're going to mix those two together. And then we're just going to set this to the side. Let the panko observe. We're going to let the panko observe the milk. We're going to let it absorb the milk. We'll just set this over here and keep it out of the way for now. About 10 minutes, so that'll give us time to throw the rest of the stuff together. Okay. So we've got our handy dandy mixing bowl. You could use, obviously, whatever meat you want. A combination of beef, pork, turkey, however you want. We, in this case, are making vegetarian meatballs, so that is what we will be using, is vegetarian meat. Okay, so go ahead and get that in there. Set this to the side. We're going to, in this, we'll be putting 4 cloves of garlic. So let's go ahead and get the skin off of the garlic. And you're just going to mince it up and chop it up real nicely. Okay. Okay, we might need a knife to do a little slicing and dicing. So these we're just going to mince up and toss it into the meat mixture. For those of you who actually watch cooking shows, there's a really cool one on Netflix that's called Crazy Delicious that we've been watching. Super cool and absolutely amazing, some of the stuff that these people come up with, and it's really quite a fun show. We like it. Okay, so garlic, toss it in there. Okay, we've got an egg. We're just gonna crack this and drop it right on top. Eggs will help the meatballs hold everything together. We are going to, if you have fresh grated Parmesan, that would be preferable. I don't at this moment. It's amazing still how many products are hard to find in the grocery store. And what the heck is up with hand soap? How is hand soap still an issue? Okay, and then it calls for 1/4 of a cup of Italian herbs. That would be fresh. So I'm only going to do about half of that, so maybe like 1/8 of a cup or something, because fresh herbs I think equate to 1 tablespoon of fresh herbs equates to 1 teaspoon of dried herbs. So we'll do about 1/8 of a cup there. Do what?
It's just 1/4 of whatever the fresh pepper.
Okay, so good call. My daughter just pointed out, if you're the calculation to determine if you have dry herbs as opposed to fresh herbs, whatever it is, whatever measurement, whether it's cups, teaspoons, doesn't matter, you use 1/4 of dried herbs to whatever fresh herbs are. So if it called for a cup of fresh herbs, you would use 1/4 of a cup. If it called for 1 tablespoon, you use 1 teaspoon. So good call, Kennedy. Thank you very much. Okay, so the part that's absolutely horrible for those of you that your eyes burn when you're doing onions. So you need about 1/4 of a cup of grated onions. For some of you, this is going to be will be just torture. So maybe in that case, like my daughter, you put on my oldest daughter, you put on swim goggles. Do what? There you go. If you don't have goggles, you can put on sunglasses. Okay, so I'm going to take a wild guess that that's about 1/4. I don't think I had it on the correct grading level because all it did was turn it into onion puree. But nonetheless, it'll give it that flavor, so that's good. If you like bigger chunks of onion in your meatballs, then go ahead and just dice it up and cut it yourself that way. That's perfect as well. As any of you know watching this, I am a little on the liberal side when I cook in terms of how I think about things and measurement. Some of that just comes with the more comfortable you are in the kitchen, the more willing you are to take a couple of risks. Okay, and then 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. The grand old Worcestershire sauce. I don't think it gets enough credit. But man, this stuff is awesome in a lot of things. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just mix this all up by hand, using your hands, and get everything kind of all blended together. And we're just going to get everything soupy and good and nice. And some people are a little squeamish about this aspect of it, especially for those of you who are using not a vegan meat, but whether it's pork or beef or turkey, or I've never seen chicken, ground beef, or ground chicken. I guess that would be an interesting one. But you know what my thoughts are? Sorry if I offend you. If you're going to eat it, you should be able to play with it and get your hands in there and get dirty and mix it up. Get comfortable with the food that you're eating. I literally hate the hypocrisy of, ew, I won't touch raw meat and I won't do that with my hands, but then we'll turn around and eat it. Okay? So you got it all nice and mixed in here. This is what I've got going right now. So now what we're gonna do is, so I don't get the salt and pepper all disgusting, let me go ahead and rinse my hands off. Which I can tell you, with vegetarian meat, your hands wash off much quicker because there's not a ton of oils and everything in there. So what we're going to do is mix some salt, pepper, and basil now, and we'll just kind of, you know, a little splash on there. A little pepper. I guess it might help if I actually get some salt. We're going to use our salt with some herbs just to give it a little extra flavor. So we'll do that. We've got some ground salt. Let's sprinkle that on there. And then to top it off, we're going to throw a little basil on here, which this one hasn't even been opened yet. Okay, so I'm going to get this open. So, sprinkle a little basil on top there. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to remix it, just get all of that mixed in really nice. Our panko, which is sitting up there, I believe, we're going to take that. Spend about 10 minutes, I think. Actually, I could look up there. It's been 11 minutes and 38 seconds to be exact. So now we're going to take this and we're going to take our panko, and all of the milk should be absorbed in there. And we're going to go ahead, we're going to toss that in here. Might be a little more than I want, but that's okay. It will still taste delicious. So now we're just going to mix all this up and get all the panko mixed in here. Nothing too difficult about this. And I can tell you that if you enjoy having meatballs with pasta or Swedish meatballs or barbecued meatballs or however, you know, a meatball sandwich, however you like it, or whatever you use meatballs for, seriously, making your own homemade meatballs is about as easy as making brownies out of a box. There's not much to it. It's pretty simple. Okay, so what we're going to do with this now, and then we'll come back later, is now that this is made, we're going to set this in the refrigerator, let it cool a little bit. Take, 30 minutes to an hour, just let it kind of cool and let everything in there set up, let all those flavors absorb and get all over the place. And then we'll come back. We're going to scoop them out into, basically use like an ice cream scooper into nice little balls. We'll roll them up. We're going to toss them in the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes and let them cook at 450 degrees, and then we'll be done with that. All right, let me wash this off before I touch my phone. All right, we'll see you back in an hour. Okay, we are back. We are going to set our oven at 425. We've got our mixture that has been sitting for an hour. And now, in case I can find it, we are going to use an ice cream scoop. We're going to scoop out the scoop, and then we'll take it, roll it into a nice little beautiful meatball, set it on our parchment paper. Now if you're using beef, turkey, pork, stuff like that, it could be helpful to go ahead and put a little olive oil on your hands, because that will help from getting all of those fats from the meat all over your hands, and it will help it be not quite so sticky or so goopy, whatever word you want to use. But in this case, since it's vegetarian meat, don't really have to worry about that too much because not the same oils are presented. So, ice cream scoop, roll it into a nice little meatball. Obviously, if you could use a tablespoon, you could just scoop it out with your fingers if you want. I prefer that I'm not going for like, you know, the meatball from The Wedding Singer. Not these huge things. So I'm just going for some small, nice little meatballs. Similar to baking, you don't want to play with your meat mixture too much, because if you do, it starts getting kind of crumbly and it will start falling apart. So try not to handle it too much. And this goes across the board for whether it's vegan meat or whether it's pork or hamburger or, you know, whatever you're using, beef, turkey, doesn't matter. The more you play with it, the more you kind of roll it around, it starts getting crumbly. So, out of this one, which I don't even know how much I was using, in just a minute, I will let you know how much we're actually getting out of it. So 425 for the oven. And then we will cook them about 10-12 minutes, somewhere in that area. And that doesn't really matter. You're going to aim for, if you're a person who uses a meat thermometer, you're going for about 160 degrees inside the meat itself. Considering that these are vegan meatballs, I don't have to worry about it as much about the internal temperature as I do for regular meats, to make sure that it's cooked all the way. And I can tell you that meatballs are not one of those things that people want medium rare to rare. Meatballs are understood that they are cooked through completely, because you're putting it with other sauces and a variety of things. In our case tonight, which I will not be going over this whole recipe, we will be making a mushroom, onion, garlic, shallots, cream sauce to go with a chickpea pasta that I found. And I thought that that looked kind of cool, so I thought I would try it out. My daughter asked me if we were going to make homemade pasta tonight. That sounds really good, but I want to try out these chickpea pastas to see how they work. So here's basically what we have. We have all of our meatballs ready to go, and they should be tasty. So once the oven is preheated, ready at 425, we're going to throw those in for about 10 minutes. So we will be back in a moment. Okay. Whoa, almost lost all of them. So we have our vegetarian meatballs. Got our oven set at 425. So now we're going to set these bad boys in the oven. And we are going to set our timer for, says 10 to 12 minutes, so we're gonna go for 11 minutes, and that should be perfect. Start. We'll be back in 11 minutes. Boom, shakalaka. Okay, we are back. Timer is going off. So let's pull, you can't smell it. I wish you could smell it, but you can't. It smells delicious. Okay, so we got those. We are going to, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and flip these over. Hot. They're not quite the meatball texture that I want yet. I want them crispy all over the place. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flip all these over and I'm going to throw them in for just a wee bit more. Just so they can get kind of browned all over the place. Whoa! No, 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 no. 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 I want them cooked a little bit more. So I'm going to throw them back in. May take about 5 minutes. Then we'll take them back out. See you back here. Might help if it's on video. So just came out, and here's our vegetarian meatballs. Just cut one open. Very tasty. I know you can't smell anything right now because you're on a video, but they smell delicious. So what I'm going to do with these tonight, I'm going to put them with a mushroom, shallot, onion, garlic cream sauce with some chickpea pasta because I saw some the other day and I thought, you know what, never had that before, think I'll, if you're going to sample them, make sure you blow on them so that you don't leave blisters in your mouth. So I'm going to make that with a chickpea pasta. Kind of mix it all together. Should be good. Peace.